Let's talk heart to heart.
Welcome to Let's Talk Heart to Heart. Thanks for coming by. My name's Calvin Clark. Glad that you're here. You know who you are. We're here talking about spiritual matters, and frankly, we're doing it because people affected by disability have less opportunity to express themselves spiritually, so we're trying to provide another opportunity for that to occur. We've been talking about creation, about the beginning. We've really, this is our fifth week, and we've talked about the Creator and how that's the starting point of so much of what really matters. That the beginning, understanding the beginning and how things started and where they go from here is all founded in that beginning. So we talked about the Creator as an initiator, as the starting point. We're not the starting point, but as something bigger than us. The Creator being the starting point, who was an architect and an engineer, which gives us dignity and value, demonstrates that we were created for a purpose, that we have value in this world. And then the Creator as a mentor is what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. Through the circumstances of our lives, through the circumstance of the world, both good and bad and even neutral. And I challenged last week, I asked you all to consider, how are you experiencing the Creator's mentoring now? How even in the mundane of life, maybe you're going through struggles, maybe you're going through a high time, maybe you're just going through everyday rigmarole. The question is, can we have the faith founded in that understanding, that beginning understanding, that we're being mentored, that something is happening, something of value, that life has meaning, that there is purpose to it. So really appreciated the comments that you made. It led me to some thoughts about faith, because a lot of you move toward faith. You move toward, it's easier to look back and see what has happened and how things have benefited you in the past, how you've seen the mentoring, the Creator's mentoring. But when you're in the present, it's harder to tell exactly what's going on. But that's sort of the point of faith, is having faith, a confidence that something is happening. And Hebrews puts it like this: faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we don't see. Isn't that a cool passage? I want to just briefly discuss a few things with you about faith. I've been through some a hard couple of weeks, because partly we're going to take a real hard turn in these spiritual conversations. We've been talking so positively about all the benefits of being unique and being valuable, and that's a foundation for the struggles that we have. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about those struggles, and this passage in Hebrews sort of sets it up. Faith in that which is unseen. And what I want to point out is a couple of people that I've seen have referenced this Hebrews verse as if what it means is that we're supposed to have faith even though that makes no sense, that the things around us we see just don't add up, and so we're supposed to have faith. And there's a little edge to that, but that isn't really what the point here is. The point here is founded on what is reasonable, founded on an understanding of how things are together. You might not understand your current circumstance, but that's because you recognize you can't have the full perspective there. And so it's not an unreasonable faith. It's just a faith in what you don't see. Because you have a faith not in yourself, but you have a faith in that starting point, the Creator, the initiator. You have faith that the Creator created you. He engineered and architected you. You have faith that He is mentoring you, even in the circumstances you're in now. So if God is a mentor, if we've demonstrated that in our own minds over these last few weeks, then life isn't primarily about happiness. Life rather is a long-term process of being mentored. Do you see that point there? It's a really significant matter that brings us into matters of faith. And of course, that leads us to the hard question. I told you we were going to take a hard turn. This is it. This is the question that can be really scary to deal with. And I want you to know that as we do make this turn, it's okay. You don't have to overshare. You don't have to go beyond what you're comfortable with. But we all have this sense, this really deep sense of struggle, things that go on in life that we don't understand. All of us. You're not alone. Every single individual. Sometimes the experiences are more intense than others, but we all have this question: why? It's a cry from the heart. It's not really an intellectual question of why. It's more that crying out, why, oh why? That's what I want to deal with over the next few weeks. It's a big question. The why is there suffering in the world? Why is there suffering in my world? Why do I suffer? I came across another video as I was researching this. I want to show it to you. Just a little excerpt from it. This is a guy by the name of Greg Woods. Give Greg a listen as he asks the question, why?
I remember crying when I was 6 or 7, asking my mom, why did God do this to me? Why did God give me a speech impediment? And I really struggle with that, finding an answer to why did God do this.
Greg asked the question that all of us ask, that question of why. I really struggled with not finding an answer to why did God do this to me. That's Greg's question. I don't want to deal so much with just the answer to Greg's question and his circumstance, but I want him to speak universally for all of us. We all have this sense. Why? Why does this happen in the world? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why are bad things happening in the world in general? Why are bad things happening to me? Why am I experiencing what I'm experiencing right now? Boy, these are rough struggles. These are difficult times. And faith is the answer. Not an unreasonable faith, but faith founded in what we know, who we know the Creator is. We can rely on something bigger than us as a result. So that's the matter at hand. Not an unreasonable faith, but a reasonable one. I want you to contemplate that. I have a question for you this week that I'd like for you to talk about, not so much as an answer, but as just over the next weeks we start to unpack this question. I think I told you it was going to get a little bit heavy, and here we are. But this is the taboo subject that no one talks about, you see, in faith. We're really glad to talk about all the good stuff, about how God is for us and how we were created with purpose and how everything works together for good. We love to lean on the promises, but sometimes we do that and pretend as if there aren't real struggles underneath. And so that's what I want you to think about now, is the real struggles that exist underneath. So this is the question for this week. Are there any possible benefits of suffering? What, in your experience, again, when you look back, not your current situation so much, but when you look back on situations, what are some situations in which suffering brings about real benefit? The question that I pose to you is, what are some possible benefits of suffering? Not so much to think about, to try to solve the problem, but to just think about it a little bit, to think about suffering and what it means, and how it feels, to experience a little bit of what Greg was experiencing in his video. I'd like for you to take time to think about that. Thanks for doing this with me. Please feel safe. Don't feel at risk here. We're going to talk about this taboo subject of struggle, suffering, hurting, pain, and but we're going to do it together. You're in a safe place. You don't have to overshare. You don't have to share more than you want to. But I do want us to think about it together and see what each other think about it and try to help one another as we work through these matters of why suffering. Why? That's the question at hand today. Let's talk heart to heart about it. Will you be good to yourself this week and good to others? And I'll see you again next week.
Thank you.